You are listening to Passport Talks, a podcast on how to become a true cosmopolitan, how to travel the world without visas, create a safe haven for your family, and access top-notch education and healthcare with a second passport or residency.
Buying residency and other myths debunked. You don't need citizenship to reside in a country. Temporary and permanent residence permits are options. Stay tuned to explore frequently asked questions about residency, including types for foreigners, acquisition methods, benefits, and debunking myths. Question 1. What is the difference between a visa and a residence permit? A residence permit and a long-term visa, such as for study or work, are different, each offering distinct rights. Visas grant entry into a country for specific purposes, like study, work, or tourism, typically as a passport sticker, stamp, insert, or separate document. The residence permit allows foreigners to live in a country, often serving as identity proof. Its form varies by country, from a plastic card in the EU to a passport-like document. Residence permits offer more rights than visas, including living in the country, buying property, unlimited border crossings, conducting business, studying, accessing medical services, obtaining a driver's license, and visa-free travel to Schengen countries. Question 2. Are there other ways to get a residence permit besides marriage, study, or work? Residence permits are available through various means. The key methods to obtain a residence permit include 1. Real estate purchase. The property price must start at €250,000 in EU countries, but this threshold differs depending on the chosen state. 2. Economic investment. Some EU countries offer to purchase units of investment funds and securities in exchange for residence permits. 3. Business establishment. Promoted across Europe, though not all offer immediate residence permits. 4. Marriage is a legitimate path, sometimes exploited for immigration scams. 5. Employment is a straightforward option for in-demand professionals. 6. Family reunification is designed for relatives of permit holders who demonstrate financial dependency or sufficient income. 7. Enrollment in a university can secure a permit for the duration of the study, with a job post-graduation needed to remain. 8. Official duties mean granting residence permits to diplomats and international organization representatives. 9. Scientific research requires a contract with a sponsoring entity. 10. Medical treatment. Residency is granted for long-term care. A permit is usually valid for 1 to 2 years. 11. Special contributions, including state services or volunteering. Question 3. Can one buy an EU residence permit? No, one cannot. Countries like Portugal and Spain offer government-backed investor programs that streamline obtaining a residence permit, requiring adherence to program conditions like annual country visits and passing a due diligence check. Investment choices are aligned with state objectives such as economic sector support, regional revitalization, or job creation, including real estate acquisition or leasing, company establishment, startup creation, purchasing government bonds or company shares, or making deposits. Some nations also mandate non-refundable contributions to government funds. In 2024, EU residence permits can be obtained by investment in Portugal, Spain, Malta, Greece, Hungary, Italy, and Cyprus. Question 4. What is a golden visa? The term golden visa refers to residence permits granted for investment. Golden visas provide mobility, especially for visa-free travel within the EU, essentially acting as a Schengen visa. Investors benefit from an expedited process. However, this fast-track process requires thorough due diligence on applicants' reputations and income sources, adhering to strict international standards to ensure legality and compliance. Immigrant Invest has AML-certified lawyers in the team to pre-screen applicants, significantly lowering the refusal rate to 1% by verifying their eligibility. Question 5. How does permanent residency differ from a residence permit? Permanent residency allows long-term or indefinite living in a country granted under specific conditions. To secure permanent residency, one typically starts with a temporary residence permit, transitioning to a permanent one after legally residing in the country for several years. In the EU, permanent residency affords foreigners extensive rights, surpassing those of a standard residence permit, such as unrestricted re-entry, employment freedom, lifelong validity with periodic ID card renewal, and access to local benefits, distinct from citizenship as it excludes civil service employment and voting rights. Permanent residency leads to citizenship in most EU countries, marking the final step in the naturalization process. The general pathway involves obtaining a short-term visa for initial arrangements, followed by a temporary residence permit requiring renewal and eligibility for permanent residency after 5 to 7 years. Citizenship may then be pursued after an additional 1 to 5 years. That's it for this episode with answers to the frequently asked questions about residency. Visit immigrantinvest.com for detailed information or book a meeting with Immigrant Invest lawyers who can help answer tricky questions. Take the next step towards your global opportunities and secure your future with Immigrant Invest. And see you in the next episodes of Passport Talks.
You are listening to Passport Talks, a podcast on how to become a true cosmopolitan, how to travel the world without visas, create a safe haven for your family, and access top-notch education and healthcare with a second passport or residency.